Well, are you tired of the winning yet? I'm not. I'm saying more. Bring it on. President Trump has come into Washington, D.C. as a Force 12 hurricane. I live on the Gulf Coast, for those of y'all who are sitting there. There's no such thing as Force 12 hurricane. I know that. I'm just being a little bit, I'm exaggerating, okay? Give me a little room here, because we've never seen anything like this. Nobody's ever seen a Force 12 hurricane. Well, we've never seen anything like what's going on in Washington, D.C. today. And Trump is just a wrecking ball to the swamp, to the commies, to the Democrats, and the rhinos. It's such a beautiful thing. And here with the backdrop of Gonzales, Texas, the birthplace of the great state of Texas, the home of the Come and Take It cannon. Yes, you've seen the flags. Well, this is where it all took place, here in Gonzales, Texas. We're out here. I must have a mouse in my pocket, but this is Thoughts from the Trail with Mark Pruitt. And I'm the second part there to the Defiance Daily Show podcast with Travis Roberts, where we have an amazing podcast. It's growing by leaps and bounds. We shoot the show live every Friday between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come and join us. We're on Rumble. Just go to Rumble and look up the Defiance Daily Show podcast. And just wanted to share a couple of thoughts here real quick. Pay attention to what's going on in Austin, Texas. Our scummy rhino Republicans and Democrat commies are doing everything they can to destroy our state. And we need to speak up. We, the people, need to do here in the state of Texas, like what's going on in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, Texas has a lot of Republican voters who I fondly refer to as Repubics. Those are retarded Republican voters. They're Repubics. They just consistently vote for rhinos, but it is what it is. And we need to change that. So I just wanted to shed some light on that. But, there's a lot of things to be positive about today. And we need to focus on the positive, but we definitely need to be aware of the shenanigans that are going on while all the winning is going on. We can't let these people get away with what they're getting away with. And I encourage each and every one of you to get involved and do something about the roots of the problem. We're all distracted with dealing with the leaves, and nobody wants to deal with the roots of the problem. The roots are, number one, our public education system. I'm talking specifically here in Texas right now, but it's a nationwide issue. But the roots of our problem here in the great state of Texas, within Austin specifically, our politicians, is there's so much grift, so much corruption, and it all goes back to the roots, which are property taxes and the public education system. It is so corrupt and it's so vile, and it's destroying our state, and we need to come to grips with this. Government is evil. Absolutely evil. Some people say it's a necessary evil. Yeah, I'll go along with that a little bit. I agree. There has to be some form of government. You need a court system. You need a national defense. Outside of that, you really don't need too much from the government. And unfortunately, because of the public education system, most folks, even those who consider themselves conservative, still believe the government should play huge roles in our life, like public education or compulsory education, healthcare, retirement. Just incredibly inept, ineffective, expensive, horrible programs that do nothing but rip off we the people. And yet we still have a tremendous number of people who consider themselves conservative, Republicans, that believe that these things are necessary. I mean, by God, if we don't have public education, who's going to take care of the children? Who's going to educate the children? I find this thought process breathtaking. Just absolutely remarkable. Yet it's very commonplace, and it's causing all of the problems and issues. You know, you can sit there and get upset about, you know, transgender and, you know, boys and girls locker rooms and all these horrible, detestable things that are happening. These are all the leaves. You got to look for the root. Where did this all start? My contention, and I believe to be true, I can bring the receipts. Anybody wants to argue, that's fine. I'm all for it. I'm a big believer in the freedom of speech. But I truly believe that the root of all of our problems comes from government raising, feeding, teaching, indoctrinating our children. None of these things that we're dealing with could ever happen unless the government wasn't effectively indoctrinating generation after generation after generation. So much to the point that otherwise intelligent individuals who know how evil and corrupt government is will turn around and say it's a good idea for the government to raise our kids. There's a huge disconnect here that I cannot for the life of me wrap my arms around. And people will make all kinds of excuses. Well, man, I don't know how to teach my kids. What do my kids do? There's some great information out there. This is by far the biggest fallacy. And again, this thought process comes from indoctrination in public schools, where generation after generation after generation, including mine, were indoctrinated by compulsory schools, public education, and indoctrinated with this completely. It's just an incorrect thought process that only the government can educate our children. I don't know. You know, we wonder where do all these rhinos come from? Folks, rhinos get into office because, I'm not going to say retarded. I use that term a lot. I know it offends some people. You have very ignorant Republican voters, very ignorant, that do not understand some very basic things that they should understand. And that is, number one, government is evil. You can't fix government programs. You can't fix public schools. The only thing you can do is what Donald Trump is doing in Washington. You eliminate government. You disband it. You crush it. You get rid of it. Let we the people determine our futures. If you're not a big boy or big girl enough to be able to raise your kids, why did you have them? I'm sorry if this sounds insensitive. It's not meant to be. I'm just stating facts. We the people have got to put on our big boy pants and start taking responsibility for our own lives. That includes raising our children, teaching them. You know, there was a time, wasn't that long ago, that there was no public education system. Oh my God, what happened? What did we do? We must have been a nation of idiots. No, we were a nation that produced people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Yes, that's who we were. Today, we are producing en masse kids who can't take care of themselves. We've now, it's gotten so bad that we now refer to 25-year-olds as kids. They stay on mommy and daddy's insurance. They stay home. They never leave. They're just incapable of making decisions and doing things on their own because they were never raised by their family. Folks, these are things we've got to address, things that we've got to come to terms with and eventually deal with. These are the roots of the problem. And no politician is going to talk about them because they're not First of all, politicians don't want to get rid of property taxes. They don't want to get rid of public education because there's so many hundreds of millions and billions of dollars that are wasted and used as payoffs and political favors and lobbying and all these things. It has nothing to do with educating anybody. It's all a grift. It must be eliminated. It must be demolished and never gone back to again. Anyway, thoughts from the trail, just some things to leave you with. Again, I hope you're excited about, there's so many great things to be excited about. We should never forget that. We should continue to remember that. And every day, do something positive to move the ball forward towards freedom, away from government. So God bless you. Have an amazing day. This is Mark, signing out.